to achieve artistic talent. Are artists born or made? Today we're diving into a question I get asked all the time, especially by friends who are parents. Is artistic talent something you're born with, or is it something that can be developed? So in this video, we will explore the origins of artistic talent and see what science has to say on the subject. Later, we will look at some tips on how to foster artistic abilities in young ones. So stay tuned for that. To get to the roots of artistic talent, I want to go down memory lane, into my own development as a young budding artist. In a way, I've been interested in art for so long that I sometimes take it for granted. Like most kids, I liked coloring, but I really liked coloring. In fact, the best birthday gift I could get as a kid was one of those big sets of crayons. Not your basic school box of colors. I was fascinated by all the shades in between. I blissfully spent hours and hours each day coloring. In fact, my mom was my first art teacher. She showed me how to stay perfectly inside the lines and how rubbing crayon wax with a tissue could blend the colors into a smooth, dreamy surface. With this technique, and with a bit of her help, I even won a few coloring contests. But where did that talent come from? It's tempting to say I inherited it. My mother definitely had an eye for aesthetics. She didn't pick up a paintbrush until the age of 70, but when she did, her teachers thought she must have had years of experience. She's also a serial decorator, always chasing perfect harmony in every room of the house. So you might be thinking, well, it's obvious. I must have gotten my artistic talent from her, right? Well, maybe. But that would overlook the time my mom spent with me, sitting at the kitchen table, coloring, talking, buying me endless supplies, paying attention. It would also overlook the fact that she, in turn, was influenced by her older brother, someone who spent time drawing with her as a child. That's how it works, doesn't it? Creativity passed on, not just through genes, but through attention, presence, and shared joy. As I got older, my drawings started getting attention at school, and, well, I may have turned them into currency. You see, our school had this system where students earned homework passes as rewards. One day, a classmate saw one of my animal sketches and asked, "Hey, can I get one of those if I give you my pass?" That was all it took. Suddenly, I had orders: a unicorn, 2 horses, an eagle, a deer. I was basically running an underground art business out of my backpack. Every afternoon, I'd grab the encyclopedia, study an animal, draw it, and make the trade the next morning. It went on for weeks until, that is, I got caught. The principal called my parents. I was terrified. I thought they were going to confiscate my crayons and shut it all down. But instead, they made me an offer I couldn't refuse. Not a punishment, but an opportunity. I became the school's portrait artist, drawing portraits of my teachers on their birthdays, in front of the whole class. And it didn't stop there. I was soon asked to recreate scenes from the Bible for Sunday Mass. Every Friday, they'd pull me from class, give me a giant sheet of paper and a box of crayons, and I'd spend the day alone on the cathedral floor, drawing. I can still remember the smell of the incense, the colors of the stained glass, and that quiet face of Saint Catherine of Alexandria looking over me. Looking back now, I realize something important. When adults take your creativity seriously, it tends to stick. So, was I born an artist? Or was I made? Let's bring in a little science. Studies show there is a genetic component to creativity, but it's not cut and dry. For example, identical twins raised apart often end up with similar creative strengths, even when they've had totally different upbringings. And a 2015 study from the Karolinska Institute found that people in creative professions are more likely to carry certain genetic markers linked to dopamine. That's the brain chemical tied to motivation, curiosity, and reward seeking. But it's not about an art gene, because there isn't one. Instead, creativity is shaped by a constellation of traits, many of which are partly inherited. Things like visual spatial intelligence. Also, divergent thinking, or the ability to come up with many solutions, not just one. Next, openness to experience. Having the kind of mindset that says, what if I tried it this way? And finally, visual sensitivity, or a heightened awareness of color, contrast, tone, and detail that helps artists notice what others might overlook. All of these traits can be influenced by genetics, but they don't flourish in a vacuum. Because even with great genes, if the environment doesn't nurture it, that creative potential can fade. Talent needs oxygen, and oxygen in this case is attention. Now, if you've ever looked at your child's drawing and wondered, is this talent or just scribbles? You're not alone. The truth is, those scribbles might be more meaningful than you think. According to art educator Victor Lowenfeld, children move through 5 stages of artistic growth, and understanding these stages helps you support their creativity without rushing it or judging it too soon. Let's break down each stage. Stage 1, the scribble stage, ages 2 to 4. This is pure joyful chaos, lines everywhere, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. Some kids even make sound effects while drawing, like they're telling a story through scribbles. Stage 2, the pre-schematic stage, ages 4 to 7. Now you start seeing shapes. A circle becomes a head. A few lines become arms. Houses, animals, people, they're crude, but full of intent and imagination. Stage 3, the schematic stage, ages 7 to 9. This is where drawings start to make sense. There's structure, there's perspective. The sun might be in the corner, the sky is blue on top, there's a visual system forming. Stage 4, dawning realism, ages 9 to 11. Kids begin to want things to look right. You'll see early attempts at shading, proportion, even emotion in facial expressions. And you might notice more self-criticism too. Stage 5, the pseudo-realistic stage, ages 11 to 13. This is when art gets personal. Kids don't just draw what they see anymore. They draw what they feel. There's narrative, identity, and self-expression. So what does this mean for you as a parent? It means when you look at your child's drawing, you're not just seeing what they can do with a pencil. You're seeing how they understand the world. So don't rush them, don't skip ahead. Just meet them where they are. How to develop artistic talent in your child. Parents often ask me, how can I help my child develop artistic talent? The answer is simpler than most think. It's not about fancy schools and programs. It's about how you, as their trusted caretaker, respond to their creativity. Here are a few powerful ways to nurture their artistic growth. Tip number 1, make space for mess and experimentation. Creativity doesn't thrive on neatness. Give your child a corner or even just a box of supplies where they can splash paint, glue things together, or doodle without worrying about cleanup. Not every project needs to be wall-worthy. Sometimes the best breakthroughs come from accidents. The goal is to let them try, fail, and surprise both you and themselves. Tip number 2, notice, don't judge. When kids show you their art, they're really showing you a piece of themselves, instead of asking, "What is it?" which can make them feel misunderstood. Notice what they've actually done. Try saying, "I love how you use so many colors," or "This part looks really energetic." These observations tell your child, I see you, your choices matter. That validation is fuel for confidence. Tip number 3, join them sometimes. You don't need to be artistic to sit beside your child and draw a silly cat or cut shapes out of paper. When you make art together, you're showing them that creating is valuable in itself, not just for those who are talented. Kids love when parents enter their world. It turns art making into a shared memory. Finally, tip number 4, celebrate the process, not just the outcome. If the focus is always on the finished drawing, kids can start worrying about getting it right. Instead, highlight the effort and imagination that went into it. I noticed you tried shading here, or that's such a creative idea. This shifts the focus away from perfection and toward growth. Over time, your child learns that art is about expression, curiosity, and persistence, not just performance. So, what are the main takeaways? Artistic talent does have some genetic components. Things like visual sensitivity, divergent thinking, and spatial awareness. But genes alone don't make an artist. Meet your kids where they are in their development. What really shapes creativity is encouragement, confidence, and connection. If this video resonated with you, please like it, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who might also enjoy it. It helps the channel grow and keeps me inspired to make more videos on art and creativity. And stay tuned because there's much more to come. Until next time, stay curious and stay creative.